What's up, everybody? I'm finally back, upload another video. There's a couple of things I want to get out the way really quick on what I'm going to do with my channel going forward. I was trying to think of new content to upload. Like, I know a lot of you do enjoy my reactions to stupid stuff going on in the Christian world, but then some of you really enjoy my perspective on a lot of biblical concepts and teachings and things like that. But I also want to start getting into more of the things that I see with my dreams and visions and spiritual experiences. I have a lot of experiences that I would like to share with you guys, and I think you would actually enjoy and learn from. And some of you could even relate. I love those conversations. I got into one on Twitter last week, I want to say, talking about ghosts. So I would like to talk about some of those things too, and like to get you guys' perspective on that one. But with that out the way, I do want to discuss something that's been on my mind, speaking of dreams and visions. And that was a dream I had when I was, I want to say about 15 years old. And that particular dream, it was basically a glimpse of the future. It may have been more so of a vision, but whatever. So in this dream, when I was 15, I remember I was walking down the street. And as I was walking down the street, I saw dead bodies, right? And I'm looking at these dead bodies, and it was men, women, children. They were just laid out in the streets. And I was in a big city. I was in a metropolis. I can't tell you what city it was. I can't make it out. I just know that I was in a big city. So I'm walking down the street, and I'm seeing all these dead bodies laying in alleys, laying in the streets, propped up against buildings, were slumped over against buildings, and blood on the walls and stuff. It was very bizarre to see, and I just kind of looked. I was very sad, and I wondered what was going on. And you know how, like in the Bible, where when the prophets are experiencing a vision or something, it says, "Then suddenly I was taken in the air," right? And that's what happened. So I'm looking at this, and then suddenly I'm taken in the air, and I'm overlooking the earth, right? And as I'm looking down on the earth, I'm seeing the United States. I'm seeing a future map of the United States, and it perplexed me, because as I'm looking at this map, it was something I didn't recognize. And I've told the story before, and I'll get to why I'm sharing it again. But as I'm looking at this map, the United States is completely different. The West Coast was gone, like California was gone. It looked like more like little islands. Like the Pacific had came in more so, well, came in up until like Nevada and Texas and stuff like that. The Mississippi had widened from the Gulf on up through the middle of the country. It dang near tripled its size, if you can imagine that, to where America was like two separate land masses. You had America East and America West. And it just, like I said, it came all the way up through the middle of the country. Florida was gone. Some of the southern and eastern states had been submerged, and it was just like it tripped me out. So I'm like, what is this? So then I woke up, and I just pondered on it for a little bit. Mind you, I'm 15 years old. I pondered on this for a little bit, and I just didn't really think much of it, except every now and then it just popped in my mind. So then some years pass, and I happened to get curious about this dream. It came to me, so I just did some searches, and lo and behold, I saw a picture of projections of the future of the United States of America, and it was almost identical to what I saw in my dream. Okay, so again, I had this dream in like 99, 2000. And I didn't see this map on the internet until like maybe 2009, almost 10 years later. I decided to really like look into it, and I saw that, and it tripped me out. Then a few years later, I'm like on YouTube, and I saw some videos of people, and they were discussing about almost something very similar that they were shown about the future map of America. And at this time, like around 2008, 2009, there was an earthquake in the middle of the country. And for those of you who aren't aware, like in Illinois where I live, there is something called the New Madrid fault line. It's like over by like in Missouri and New Madrid, Missouri. But it's like the biggest fault line, and it was active for a little bit. And on record, it had like the biggest earthquake in United States history. I want to say, I could be wrong, but I know it's like the biggest or one of the biggest. In fact, the biggest earthquake ever they talked about was that the earthquake in New Madrid was so strong that it rang church bells in Boston, and that's a long ways away. That's how strong this earthquake was. So anyway, at this time, I'm thinking like, okay, so maybe this could come about. I'm sorry, I'm all up in the camera, but maybe this could come about if this fault line became really active, and it would reshape the face of the country, which is some projections. But then something else started to really seep into my mind, and I started to think about too, is how climate change is starting to really affect the world. And whether you want to believe it or not, the fact that sea levels are rising and the glaciers are melting in Antarctica is very alarming. So then I started thinking, and I'm seeing like all these articles, and I saw one I'll show you guys too, but where it's talking about like this article I saw last night. It said that the projections is that people from the coast are going to start to move inland to places like Dallas, and to places like Dallas and maybe it was Houston, but Dallas and Las Vegas and stuff like that, because the rising sea levels. And then it just started really to really hit me, and I'm starting to think about that dream. I'm like, so Lord, you're showing me something that's going to happen in like 100 years. Like, that's crazy. But again, it's something that a lot of people will just dismiss, and even some of you that are watching this video would dismiss what I say. But the thing is, unless we're around in 100 years to see what's going to happen, you don't know if I'm lying or not. I know I'm not lying. I'm telling you what I saw. But it's scary, man. And in my mind, I'm not an earth scientist, so all you earth scientists out there can correct me if I'm wrong, but I would think that with the rising sea levels and the pressure on the plates and all that stuff could cause a domino effect, right? So as the waters rise, creating pressure and all that stuff, it could potentially reactivate that fault line, which would reshape the face of the country. That's very much a possibility, but we won't know. I know I won't know because I won't be alive. but yeah, it's alarming, and I just really wanted to share that dream because I think it's relevant. And there's a lot of other dreams that I've had, but like this one's been on my mind, and I wanted to get a video out there to share it. So I'm curious to know what you guys think. How do you feel about it? Especially climate change. Do you think it's real? You think it's a hoax? But yeah, that's it. So I'll see you guys in comments.